Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Hernandez, and today I'll be going over Demo 5 Learning Target 8A. So what is Learning Target 8A is about? 8A's I can identify the operation of three types of flip-flops, J, JK, D, and T, with asynchronous controls. And what the three flip-flops are is as labeled as JK flip-flop, the D flip-flop, and T flip-flop. These are the only three that we learned so far in our class, and I'll be explaining what each of them look like. What the JK flip-flops look like. So as we can see over here, this is going to be our JK positive edge trigger flip-flop. As we see, our clock is going to be positive. If we were to have asynchronous controls, our clear would be at the bottom. Or no, sorry, our clear would be right up top, and then our reset is going to be right at the bottom. And as we can see here, this is the truth table of JK. Whenever the clock is rising, that's when Q is going to be triggered along the ways. So then our next one is going to be JK with the negative edge trigger. And as we can see, our clock is negative. And then we can see over here when clock is falling, that's when it's going to be triggered. So this is what JK positive edge triggered looks like on the digital oligoscope. And as we can see here, along the way, whenever the clock is rising, and we have both the JK inputs imported, or actually this will be a really good one because I know this is where Q1 is and Q0 are. So as we can see here, whenever JK is rising and we have two of the values at 1, then that's when our J0 is going to be 1, our Q1 is going to be 1. And then as soon as that's changed with a different outcome, then the next falling edge right here, that's when it will change. And as we can see here, Q0 is always going to reflect the opposite of Q1 in this equation. And the same thing over here, as we can see. So it looks like when our falling edge is right here, so whenever K is going to be 1, and J is going to be 1 on the falling edge, then that's when our Q1 is going to rise, and then whatever next input it's going to be, then it would continue on with the falling edge, or the falling edge right here. And the same thing applies forward. And then this is what it's going to be looking like as the opposite. So our next one's going to be D flip-flops. Now for D flip-flops, this is going to be our positive edge trigger. As we can see, we have the ups, and then this is our truth table whenever it's going to be up. So for our D negative edge trigger, it's going to be whenever the down is going to be triggered on the flip-flop. So what does D flip-flops look like? As they look like this. We can see that we can only just input just D for now. So that leaves us with 3 inputs while the clock is running automatically. And as we can see, whenever the clock is rising and then the values inputted, then Q1 would change along with whatever the D output is going to be with the clock. And as well, we can see right here for our Q0, it's still reflected for Q1. Now for our D flip-flop and negative edge trigger, it's basically the same thing, but just going to be falling edge. As we can see here, when we're at the falling edge right here, we have it at 1, to which Q1's just going to be, oh, sorry about that. Q1's just going to be 1, and then as it continues on, and then right here, when Q1's 1, it's still going to be 1. So when Q1 is 0, then that's when our Q1 starts to fall down to the same value, and it goes on forever. You see right here, since this one's going to be 1, it's going to just still be output as 0. And the reason is that the D flip-flop is going to have a bit of a delay to when it inputs and outputs. So what does my T flip-flop look like? is that this is what a positive edge trigger looks like. And as we can see, we have our truth table with that. So whenever the clock is going to be up, it's going to be 0, 1, QT plus 1 to QT, and QT prime T, and Q prime T, and then QT. And then when we go to our negative edge trigger, it's still, the truth table is going to be the same, and then just the clock is going to be whenever it's down that these guys will trigger. So, as we go over here, we can see that T0, or our T value, is going to be our input, and then whenever, and this is going to be our positive edge, sorry about that, forgot to mention that. So whenever the positive edge is triggered, then that's when Q1 is going to be triggered as well. And it continues on, and as you can see right here, this is where you can see most of the differences whenever you see like each of the flip-flops. The T's are going to be more delayed compared to D flip-flops and then the JK flip-flops. And yeah, Q1 reflecting, and then Q0 reflecting with Q1 to show that it's the opposite. And whenever it's rising. And then for falling edge, it's also going to do the same thing. As you can see right here, we got it that each time we input whatever value, that when 1, it's just going to go up and down like this. And then when it's output at 0, it's just going to lag on like this. And as C for Q1 and then Q0 is going to reflect that. It's just going to be whatever it is for the negative edge trigger. This is the end of Learning Target 8A. I hope you guys all enjoy that, and I'll see you all next time.